In this lesson, we are going to be going over simplifying expressions in a way where we have to maybe pull out a common denominator of some kind or a common multiple of some kind. So in this, we're going to go over the distributive property and then kind of seeing how I can simplify things from there. All right, so for our first one, I need to distribute this -3 into the parentheses. So I have -3 times 5, which is -15. I have -3 times 7x, which is -21x. And then I have just plus 5. So from here, I need to combine my like terms. So I can see that -15 and 5 are going to be my like terms. So when I add those together, I get -10 minus 21x. So from here, if I look at this, I notice that 10, 21x, none of this has anything else in common really. So I'm just going to leave it like this. You can also rewrite it so that the -21 is first. So -21x minus 10. These are also equivalent expressions. The next one we're going to go over is a little bit more complicated. So notice that I have to distribute twice. I have 3p and 4p to distribute. So the first thing I'm going to do is distribute my 3p. So 3p times 1 is 3p. And then I have 3p times 3p. So I'm going to actually write that one out. 3p times 3p. And then I have my plus sign. And then I'm going to distribute my 4p. So 4p times 1 is 4p. And then 4p times 4p, I kind of want to make sure that I know what I'm doing. So I have a positive 4p times a negative 4p. So anytime I'm multiplying two variables together, I'm actually increasing how many times I'm multiplying it, right? So that means that I have 3p plus 3 times 3, which is 9. P times p is p squared. Then I have 4p and 4p times -4p. So 4 times -4 is -16. And then p times p is p squared. So now I need to combine my like terms, which means that I need to combine my p's and my p squareds. So normally what we do is we write our p squares before our p. We always want to have the highest exponent to the lowest exponent to no kind of variable at all. So from here, I'm going to do these first. I have 9p squared minus 16p squared. So I get -7p squared. And then I have 3p plus 4p, which is 7p. So we could keep it like this as one option, but I also want to point out something kind of important. Sometimes it's nice to be able to factor things out too. Now you don't have to do this, but it's preparing you for something that's coming this year and next year. So notice that I have 7 and 7 in common with both of these terms. And I have p and p in common with both of these terms. So if I do want to factor out my greatest common factor, my GCF, then identifying it that it's 7p is what's going to help me. So if I were to divide first this by 7 and this by 7 and move that to the front, I now have -p squared plus p, because 7 divided by 7 is 1, and -7 divided by 7 is -1. And then if I were to divide this by p and this by p, I would notice that I would have 7p out front, negative p squared divided by p. That means I have 1 less p, right? So this becomes negative p. P divided by p here is just 1. So if I were to use a GCF to simplify, that's another way we can write it. So we have two options. We can either leave it as it is, but if you feel like you can possibly go further with it and keep it and factor out a greatest common factor, I highly recommend just practicing it if you think you can do it. But it doesn't always work, as we can see in our first example.